Hey friends, this is Erinn. Welcome back to my channel. This video is all about the 3 herbs that all women should know about. And actually, we talk about 4 herbs. So if you haven't seen my interview with Veladya Organica, I highly recommend it. You can see the video version on this channel. You can listen to the audio version on my podcast, the Real Herbalist Podcast. But I highly recommend checking out Veladya Organica. She has an awesome YouTube channel. She has a great Instagram where she talks about herbalism, homesteading, natural health, and many other things. So definitely check her out. This is a snippet from our 45-minute interview that we did where I asked her about the 3 herbs that she thinks every woman should know about. And like I said, we end up talking about 4 herbs. So for women who are diving into herbalism, I highly recommend checking out this short snippet from that conversation. And if you're interested and you like what you hear, go check out Veladya and her channel and the full interview that we have as well. Hope you enjoy. I'm curious, what are 3 herbs that you think every woman should know about?
Ooh, spicy one. Okay, keeping it simple first would be ginger because ginger is an amazing ally for our bleeding time. It's fantastic for before we start bleeding to kind of get the circulation going all over the body and get the organs supported during this like sensitive time. Wonderful for during bleeding, for cramping support, for digestive support. Some of us get that digestion gets really wacky during bleeding time. Um, and then post bleeding to also keep the body warm. We want to keep our bodies warm during that really sensitive time. And I wanted to start with that one because it's simple. Like we can find it almost everywhere. You can probably find tea bags in whatever grocery store you frequent. So you don't have to overthink it and can bring that medicine into your home. And it can just serve you in so many ways. But for women specifically, it's a great bleeding ally. And most of us, that are during your bleeding time, it's fantastic. Um, Second would be one of my number one allies, and that's Paw d'Arco. Now that's harder to find in a grocery store. You're going to have to find it online, but it is very available online, with Mountain Rose Herbs, Frontier, Star West Botanicals. Those are my top 3, and you'll be able to find it there. It's a bark of a tree, and it's so amazing for any and all imbalances. And I feel like we all need to have that in the back of our cabinet somewhere in case we get the occasional yeast infection, in case we get the occasional UTI, in case we have any sort of imbalances that happen to us all or have happened to you at least once in your female life. And it's not as fun to go to the store and get like the monostat or like whatever weird stuff they have there that's just like not so great. But it is a strong antibacterial, a strong antifungal bark, and it wipes out infections. It wipes out UTIs. It wipes out any fungal imbalances that the female body is just more susceptible to because we have that beautiful little fungal universe down there that can sometimes get thrown off by the slightest things in in your bleeding time, in pregnancy also, and in menopausal times. The pH and the universe of the vulva changes so much in those 3 times, like in your young times when maybe you're not taking so much care of yourself and your fungal levels are changing so much when you're young. I mean, like, teenage years, and then periods change it, and then pregnancy definitely changes it. And Paw d'Arco is totally safe during pregnancy. I know I was getting infections with my first pregnancy, and it's so frustrating. And then in menopause, also, the pH and everything around the vulva and the vagina changes a lot. So it can be a great ally, Paw d'Arco, during that time. And then my third herb for women out there, I'm going to say Oatstraw because Oatstraw is so wonderful at soothing or rebuilding really a depleted nervous system. And, we're just carrying the world on our backs here as if birthing the humans of the world isn't enough. There is so much on the backs of women. And a lot of our nervous systems are just really taxed in the modern day world. We already have all the environmental uh, pollutions and toxins and interferences, EMFs, and just so many things that our bodies, no matter what gender you are, you're working through. But then a female body is also bleeding every month, or we're also childbearing, or we're also just living in the 28-day cycle, period. And our modern day world is not set up to benefit the 28-day cycle. I mean, we're working, we have so much going on, and not a lot is like, oh, you're in your luteal phase, you're in this is, So serving our nervous systems is very important to me. And it can, when our nervous systems are depleted, it can show up as so many other things, depression, anxiety, and ADHD and ADD, and things that we might be running to the doctors for. No shade on Western medicine. It definitely serves us sometimes, but sometimes it's just your nervous system crying out for like deep, deep help. And one little quick meditation isn't going to do it. So Oatstraw is really nice as a daily emotional support for anxiety and for just rebuilding the nervous system.
Oh, I love Oatstraw. Thank you so much for that. And the side note here, I just want to say, like, I love talking to other people who play with the herbs because there's just so much to know. Like, for example, an herb like ginger, like I'm very familiar with ginger. I use it a lot, but hearing about how you're talking about it, I'm like, oh, I never thought about it like that. There's just so much to learn, and everybody that I talk to knows different things. And I think that's something that's so beautiful about herbalism is that there's just so much to learn. We can all learn from each other. And I feel like everybody I talk to just knows different things. And so it's just so fun to continue to expand our knowledge of these herbs that we maybe feel like we already know. And I also wanted to ask you about the pau d'arco. So I'm familiar with it in the context of candida cleansing, but I wanted to ask you, like, for the methods that you mentioned, what way would you use it? Would you use it in like a tea, or would you yoni steam with it? How would you go about using it for the things that you mentioned?
Totally. My number one way to use it is in a tincture because we want to hit it internally, and a tincture is just going to be a really strong concentration of it. So the way I described earlier with the vodka or 100 proof alcohol, get the bark, soak it for a minimum of 4 weeks, and use that as your stash. Steaming, absolutely. Like if I had something, the tincture works fine for me for a yeast infection. But if I had something maybe more severe like bacterial vaginosis, where the fungal imbalance is a lot greater and it might take longer, absolutely hit it from both directions. Take the tincture and steam with it and let, those medicines go in both ways. But usually the fungal imbalance is like gut. It's like starting in the gut and then moving down to the vagina and the vulva. So my favorite way is a tincture. It's not the tastiest tea out there, so I don't really ever make it as a tea. But if I had the bark and I didn't have a tincture made and I needed to use it now, absolutely would tea it and then just grin and bear it like many, many of us do in the herbal world.
Yeah.
But it can
Okay.
be kind of bitter. Yeah. I also wanted to mention it's fantastic for herpes and herpes outbreaks for people who I have a few clients I've helped with, and they keep the pot of Arco just like in as a stash, and they use it monthly when they think they're going to get an outbreak, and they don't get the outbreaks. It's amazing. So that's something worth mentioning too, because there's not a lot out there for people who have herpes. Yeah.
And I would love to ask you too about motherwort, because I feel like that's a really emerging herb, or at least it's emerging in my world. It's probably very much already out there for so many people. But because I'm a new mother, I think I've just recently heard so much about it and been given it through my postpartum time. So I'd love it if you could speak to motherwort too, if you feel that you can.
Totally. It's one of my favorites. I grow it here on my land. I have a ton of it. She will take over if you give her the chance to root down in a garden. So it's called motherwort for a lot of different reasons, but I believe because it is an amazing emotional support plant. And people say it's like a big hug from your mother. It's like a bear hug. If oat straw was like a rub your back, motherwort is like, I'm holding you. It's for the deeper emotional needs. I like on my shop, I have oat straw and motherwort. Oat straw I recommend for like your daily little anxiety, or like maybe you're just your daily moments that are like, I know that I'm going to need this every day. But Motherwort is like, I have a panic attack right now and I need immediate support. Or I'm having navigating a deep emotional realms in a psychedelic experience because I'm an entheogen facilitator and I facilitate psilocybin. And Motherwort is actually really great in my ceremonies when someone is navigating those deep, dark realms that often happen in psilocybin, and they need just like a little bit of like a hammock to help them move through it without completely losing their cool. Motherwort's amazing for that. But also, it's an amazing herb for mothers because it's an antispasmodic. So it's great for those afterbirth pains. Antispasmodic meaning the spasms of our bodies when our children are born. Immediately after, your uterus starts to move and contract so that it can return to its original size. And some of us experience pain through that, after we birth our children. And Motherwort can be so great at soothing that pain. And also, because it's antispasmodic, it's great for cramps as well, even if you're not having children. It's fantastic for any sort of spasmodic pains in the body, but especially within the uterus, especially within the reproductive system. And then on top of that, just the mildly sedative qualities it has is what I meant for like panic attacks or deeply heightened emotional responses. People who are like hypertensive, they're used to their blood pressures getting high and have a more sensitive reaction to life's experiences. Motherwort is like that one that comes in like superhero vibes. And postpartum, it's amazing because we've had this rush of oxytocin, we've had all these amazing endorphins and hormones hit us, in third try and as the child is born, and then things are needing to even out and figure themselves out once baby is born, and you still have so much life around you. You have a partner, you may have work or whatever. And as I said, life isn't built around our 28-day cycle or our female experience. So we can sometimes feel like we're falling into the darkness as fresh new mamas. And Motherwort is absolutely a hammock right there, just as a soothing presence for rough emotional turbulence. Yeah. And great for sleep. So many things.
Thanks for watching this snippet from my interview with Veladya Organica. If you like what you heard and you want to hear the full conversation, you can watch the video version on my YouTube channel, or you can listen to the audio version on my podcast, The Real Herbalist Podcast, wherever you listen to your podcasts, as well as many other episodes. If you want more how-to stuff on herbalism and getting started, check out the podcast. I also have an herbalism for beginners playlist here on my YouTube channel, as well as a podcast playlist on my YouTube channel if you like watching video versions of podcasts. So I hope there's something here on my channel that supports you in your herbalism and your health and healing journey. Thanks so much for watching. Come over on Instagram and say hello, and I will see you on a new video next week. Bye.